Hi, everyone. I'm Joe. We're going to talk today about how to make your data visualizations instantly better. I'm sharing my screen. We've got a Excel chart or Excel sheet on here with a really simple data set. I've made up all these numbers. I have no idea how many ICTIG members are in different regions, but it's also showing what Excel gives us as a bar chart default. We're going to take this default bar chart and we're going to make a better one that helps educate our chart users easier, making them do less work. A little bit about me. I work a lot in Power BI right now, making data dashboards. But before I ever got into Power BI, I lived in Excel. I made data visualizations all day long in Excel, hacked Excel to make data visuals the way I needed them to be made. I learned all my data visualization stuff from Dr. Stephanie Everine. She always gets a shout out when I do a session like this because my brain didn't form this way. It was sort of trained by Stephanie to think about data in a certain way so that I could make really good data visuals. So we're going to try and be a little bit interactive in the 10 minutes we have. It's a challenge. I'm not gonna lie. But if you had a bar chart like this, we have our Excel default. What would you do to this chart to make it a little easier to understand, to help your viewers understand the data in it, and maybe any data stories in it? Any ideas?
I might color code it somehow.
Color code. So use color to help tell the story. Other ideas?
I'd put the number somewhere in the chart so that you could see it and it makes sense.
So like the numbers that the bars are representing.
Yeah, so south would say 27 at the far right
Right.
or in the bar.
Uh, Excellent. We're definitely going to do that. Other ideas? Mary? I see you unmuted. Oh, I can't hear you, Mary. Sorry.
Can you hear
I
me
can't
now?
hear. Yes. Now we can.
Okay. I would do a title or something like a headline at the top that kind of gives you an overview of the finding.
Yeah, we're going to start with the title. Awesome, Mary. I was going to say, I'm sure you're saying something amazing, even though we can't hear you. So we need to identify the first thing that we always want to do when we're visualizing data is figure out what we want to communicate. I think almost every data set has some kind of story or there was some reason that that data was collected in the first place, whether it's measuring the data against a KPI or a benchmark, or measuring if something is improving or getting worse over time. So our story here is that the Midwest has the most ICTIG members. I spend a lot of time with the people that are going to be using the end charts to figure out what they need from the data. They sometimes don't know, and when they don't know, I'll say, "What do you need to report to your boss? What number does your boss ask for every month or every quarter or whatever?" And that helps trigger them to be like, "Oh yeah, actually, we need this thing from the data or XYZ from the data." So we're going to pay a lot of attention to the fact that the Midwest is the largest group here. First thing we're actually going to do is just resort this so that um, our Midwest is at the top. Excel charts things in the order that you give it, so you might have to sort it just so the Midwest is at the top there. Um, the other point was having a good title. So if you know what the story is in your data, you can give it a really good descriptive title, like most IC big members are in the Midwest. Everything right? I'm going to make that a little bit larger. So even if your chart is really complicated and people don't understand what it's saying, hopefully that isn't the case. But even if it is, your title is giving them that key insight right up front. So even if they don't understand anything about your chart, they know that most IC members are in the Midwest. So those are the two things. First two things is figuring out what the story is of your chart and writing a really good title that communicates that story. Um, third thing, and Matt mentioned it, is adding some value labels. Now, you might be okay keeping a bar chart like this if you just need to show which regions have more members and which regions have less members. This is probably fine. You're showing that right off the bat. But if your audience needs some actual values, some specificity uh, to the bars, probably want to add some data labels. So we're going to add some data labels here. Now that we've added data labels, we don't need our x-axis and grid lines anymore. They're kind of redundant now because we don't need to tie the length of our bars to our axis. I'm going to get rid of those to clean this up a bit. I'm going to get rid of this line that's on our y-axis. It really doesn't do anything other than demarcate the point between the y-axis and the actual bars. So I'm going to format this, take out that line. And I'm also going to take out the line that's around the chart itself. Okay, so we're doing pretty good here. I have no idea how much time we have left. That's fine. The last thing, so we've figured out the story. We've written a good title that communicates that story. We've gotten rid of clutter in our chart. The last thing we're going to pay attention to is color. Do any of you have any ideas about how we can use color to emphasize or to bring attention to the fact that the Midwest has the most members? Raka, I see that you're unmuted. Do you have an idea?
Oh, I left myself off mute.
Okay.
Well, you could highlight the color of Midwest and put the Midwest also in the title, as you taught me to do.
Yes, Raka has been a student of mine in one of Stephanie's programs. So exactly. Thanks. You're saving us some time. So I'm going to select all of our data bars. I'm going to turn them all gray. And then I'm going to take just the Midwest one and turn that one back to blue. To emphasize, if you want people to pay attention to that one bar of data more than the other ones, give them a visual clue that you want them to do that. So I'm going to do the same thing with our labels. Make just our Midwest one blue. We can bold them. Oh, hang on. Bold them. And you can also bring your colors into the title as well. So if we want to bring a lot of attention to the fact that the blue bar is our Midwest bar, we can totally do that. I'm going to bold our most ICTIG members part of the sentence as well. Now we have a chart that even if you've got this printed in a report and someone is flipping through this big report, even if they see this for just a second, they know the key insight from your data immediately, that most ICT members are in the Midwest, and they see that bar highlighted for them. So there's no work they have to do to figure out what's going on in your visual. We've got 40 seconds left. I'm going to show you a quick example of a line chart. So this is Excel's default line chart. I use the same 4 principles to figure out the data story, write a really good title, declutter it, and use color to emphasize one of the bits of data. And this is the line chart we get. Thanks for spending 10 minutes with me. That was a little rushed, but hey, we got there in the end.